Today we're going to talk about healing and how human beings are destructive. So the thing that we need to understand is that human beings are self-destructive because we have desires. Our desires make us self-destructive, and it is not trauma. Trauma adds to our ability to self-destruct, but we already have that ability without trauma. A lot of the concepts and theories out there exaggerate the good nature of the human being, and they don't really explain the shadow side. And how theories portray the human being is that anything that you do that is unhealthy, anything that you do that is destructive to yourself or to another person, that is related to trauma. And it hides behind trauma, and it wants you to go back into childhood and look for things that might have traumatized you. They want you to look for neglect, they want you to look for some issues. And so we're looking for things when the reality is that human beings, even if you had a perfectly healthy childhood, you would still have self-destructive habits. It's not a case that, and obviously no one's had a perfect childhood. No one's had everything that they've wanted as a child. There's been people who have experienced poverty, there've been people who have experienced single parent families. People come from a range of backgrounds, and there is going to be a lack. There will always be a lack in some sense, because human beings are imperfect and they're not going to do a perfect job of raising you. And instead of explaining self-destructive behavior that is connected to the human nature, they connect it to childhood, and they connect it to childhood experiences. And that is why everyone will find something to explain their trauma. The opposite of that is that we have consciousness. So we have desire and we also have consciousness. And if you want to understand it in Freudian terms, that is, the consciousness is the superego and the id is desire. And that's how I'm going to reframe them. So you have your desires fighting for your attention, and then you also have the voice of consciousness telling you and speaking to you, and then you have the choice, and the choice is what decision you make. And the aim is to balance both, is to balance your desires with your consciousness. It is not to live a life just dictated by your desires, and it is also not to be always overthinking and overconscious. And so what we need to do is we need to have rules. When we're young, we had rules. Parents had rules in place. The government has rules in place. Society has rules in place to make sure that the human being doesn't get out of control. And when you become an adult, it becomes your responsibility to discipline yourself, to parent yourself. And when our boundaries and our rules are too relaxed and too flexible, then that is when you're introducing chaos and misery into your life. So yeah, your upbringing can play an important role, especially if there's been abuse. Yes, things can affect us, things can impact us, but we also have the choice and the free will to behave in the ways that we do. The advantage of having this kind of mindset is that you take responsibility for your growth. And when you believe everything is linked to childhood trauma and it's out of your control, you start to live as though you don't have control, and you start to live as though life just happens to you and you're not doing life, or you're not living life. And it takes away your power and control. Having the mindset that you are in control of your actions allows you to take control. And when you take control, you feel powerful. But when you're living as a reaction to life, it means that you're living without any choice. And this is the problem with Freudian psychology. Freudian psychology tells you that your whole life is a reaction to childhood. Rather than you taking responsibility for how you are, everything is rooted in some childhood experience, and so that you're reacting to it. When we believe every destructive habit of ours is linked to trauma, then we risk feeling powerless. We risk over identifying with victimization. We will justify why we hurt others and why we hurt ourselves, rather than recognizing that this is just normal. How you're behaving is just normal. It's normal to have unhealthy habits. It's normal to make wrong decisions. These are all normal and a normal part of being a human being. And so what we want to do is release guilt for being imperfect. We release that and we say, no, it's okay that I've made mistakes. It's okay that I have this habit which is unhealthy. And then what we do is we take responsibility. And then we take responsibility for creating better habits and healthier habits. And that's how we will feel powerful. We will feel powerful when it becomes in our power and in our control. But whenever life is not in your control, it's out of your control, you'll never feel powerful. This is a way to eliminate self-hate, because sometimes what happens is when we've behaved in ways that are self-destructive to ourselves and to others, we tend to develop feelings of guilt, feelings of self-hate. And by realizing that a lot of that is normal, most people behave like this, you allow yourself the compassion and you allow yourself to forgive yourself and move on and do better. It's just the process. You have to keep falling and getting back up. You can't stay on the ground, and that is one of the ways that you will start to feel powerful. That's how you will start to build self-respect, and that's how you'll be able to live with resilience. Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.